For those of you who are sitting at your computer for 8+ hours a day, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can keep yourself healthy while doing an office job, whether that's computer programming, streaming, I don't know what other people do. Jobs where you sit and stare at the screen for a long time, or you game a lot. You got some bad habits we got to fix, okay? I need to preface this by saying I'm not a doctor. If you have health concerns, definitely consult your doctor. If you have nutrition concerns, specifics, please consult a professional in that field. I am just sharing what works well for me and things that I've learned in my journey with becoming a more balanced, healthy individual, okay? If you're a knowledge worker, you need. It is not a want, but a need to keep yourself healthy. Otherwise, you're just not going to be performing at your optimal level. The stress levels are high, especially when you are the limiting factor for how much you can get done in a day. Like your brain can only handle so much deep work in a day. You're only going to be able to solve so many problems, and that is going to be significantly reduced if you're not taking proper care of your body. And I know that when we're sitting at the computer for so many hours on end, especially like working from home, you're not commuting, you're not leaving it at work, it can also tend to kind of drag on. Today, I'm going to give you all those healthy tips on just ways that you can integrate into your existing routines, different healthier habits without having to overhaul your entire lifestyle. The first one is going to be a pretty obvious one, but getting some movement in your day-to-day is critical. It can just be a walk. It can just be a walk around the block, 15 minutes to start. It can just be some stretches in the morning. You can follow a yoga video or something like that. Or if you can feel that your back's a little tight or your hip flexors are a little tight, like just do what stretches feel good for you. And that's a great way to just kind of get your blood flowing, get your lymphatic system flowing. Your lymphatic system is what helps to filter your blood. Unlike your circulatory system, it doesn't have a heart to pump it. So the only way that your lymphatic system, that lymphatic fluid, is actually moving through your body is with physical movement. So if you're not getting that movement in, your blood is actually not going to be getting kind of cleaned as well as it could be from your lymph nodes and all of that. If you have better circulation, you're going to have more blood to your brain, which means that you're going to be less drowsy. All right. So you want to just do things that are going to improve your circulation. Making your heart not have to work so hard when it's at rest means that you're going to have an improved circulation as well. So that means more blood to brain, more problem solving. Things just become easier. You can think faster. A couple of key things that the daily movement also gets you in the flow of is either meditation through movement. So allowing yourself to kind of reflect on what's going on through a more light aerobic exercise. So that can be through walking, through the stretching, which is not aerobic exercise, but still some kind of movement where your brain, you're able to kind of allow your thoughts to flow and address them and, think about the problems that you're facing and give yourself space to do that instead of trying to continue to do the task while also trying to solve the task. Sometimes you really just need to step away. It can also be a great way to fully disengage from the problem when you go and do something that takes your full attention. So weight training, some high intensity exercise, those are great examples of things that you can do that are going to fully take your focus away, and it'll allow your subconscious to kind of keep processing that in the background without it requiring your actual attention. Sleep is also something that has been studied that has a similar effect where your subconscious will try and kind of problem solve while you're sleeping. Another reason why these movements are so helpful if you are a knowledge worker or a creative worker is that you're going to be able to kind of brainstorm a little bit more effectively. Another tip for me is nutrition focused. So this would be swapping healthy alternatives for things that you love. I still eat whatever I want, though it's in moderation. Like if I want chocolate chip cookies, I'll make chocolate chip cookies. I'm not making that on a weekly basis. It's just every once in a while, if you got a strong craving for something, go for it. It won't kill you, okay? You'll be okay. But you just don't want it to be a habitual thing. And if you do have something that is habitual that you enjoy, for example, I'm a tea connoisseur. I love my tea and biscuits or tea and something sweet in the afternoon. I find it energizing. I find it just, kind of reinvigorates me during the day when I start to feel like I'm getting into a bit of a slump. So instead of having tea and biscuits like you would traditionally, I'll swap those for something that are a little bit healthier, that won't spike my blood sugar so much, but are still sweet. I'll go for mochi, fruits, dates. You can go for dried fruit. I would highly recommend portioning it out. And I would do this for anything that you want to be eating in moderation. Like even if you want your chips, go for it, but just put it in a small bowl. Don't just like eat from the bag, because you will eat the whole bag. Having dark chocolate with some nuts, those are great because it'll give you a little bit of fats as well, which can help with your blood sugar regulation. Yeah, give you similar kind of satisfaction that you're looking for without causing any kind of health issues in the long term. Another thing that I do is I've tried to cut down my sugar intake. I have a little bit of a sweet tooth. My dentist recommend that I try using xylitol as a sweetener for like tea or for baking and things like that in place of sugar. It's a natural sweetener. It's better for your teeth. I would highly recommend looking into it and asking your doctor if it's a good fit for you based on, your stage in life and whatever. Another thing is, do not buy your junk food at the grocery store. Don't buy a pack of like 12 croissants because you're craving croissants, okay? Let it be an indulgence that you go out and get. Make it like the barrier to get it is just a little higher. Okay, because if it's convenient and it tastes really good and it's not good for you, you're gonna want it. Especially when you've done a long day of work, maybe you accidentally skipped a meal because you got hyper focused on something. You're gonna want that calorie dense, like fatty junk food that you have hidden in your cupboard. So keep it as hard to acquire as possible, and that is gonna help you not indulge so much. And you're not going to have the pack of like 12 croissants that you feel you need to finish, instead of just the one that you maybe paid a little extra for because you're just buying one of them and it's probably from like a nice cafe or something like that. It's going to cost a little more. And that's another kind of part of the barrier of like why maybe you shouldn't get it and you might resist a little bit more. If you're cooking at home and you're buying healthy ingredients, whole foods, whole sources of protein and vegetables and all of that stuff, if it needs to be prepped, do it right away. Like schedule time when you get back from your grocery shopping, when you're feeling all inspired and excited about these things you just bought. Try and find ways to make this as easy as possible for you. Again, the barrier to entry for something healthy should be way lower than for some junk food. Make sure that the ways that you're cooking them require kind of minimal prep and cleanup time. So prepping it in advance when you get home with your groceries is going to make it a lot easier for you. Things like a pressure cooker, just things that are just cooked in the oven where you just kind of have to toss it on a pan, stick it in there for 20 minutes or whatever, and then you have your entire meal done. Those are going to make a big difference for you. As well as barbecuing. If you have a barbecue that you're able to use, those are great. Cast iron pans, also great, because you just kind of scrape off the food, oil it up a little, and that's it clean. To follow on that, let's talk about some staple healthy meals. We're creatures of habit, so having some healthy meals that you know that you enjoy, that can just be kind of these go-tos that you always have stocked. Like I always have brown rice, I always have canned tuna, I always have mayo, and I will make tuna mayo like it's nobody's business, okay? Tuna mayo onigiri is one of my favorite staples, and I'll have that with some seaweed, and it's delicious. I always have rice cooked, so it takes me 5 minutes to put together. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. That's what you want, okay? Some other ideas include sandwiches. You can do like an egg salad sandwich, tuna salad. Those are some of my favorites. You can do roast chicken. I personally try and stay away from deli meats, so I'll try and reuse proteins from the night before. So if I'm making dinner, I'll make a proper protein like salmon or chicken or whatever, tofu, and try and reuse that for lunch tomorrow. So make a little extra. And in that case, you can put it in onigiri, you can put it in a sandwich, and add in some veggies and you're good to go. I try and avoid deli meats just because they've got a lot of preservatives and they're very high in sodium. So they're not really great for you long term. So try and stick to the whole sources of protein as much as you can. Another thing is pre-made or frozen soups. In Canada, there are a lot of companies that will pre-make soups, and you look at the ingredients, it's literally just vegetables and like soup broth, and that's it. You can get some of those, or if you have a pressure cooker, a slow cooker, or whatever, make your own soups. They're so easy to make. They're so good for weight loss and for just eating more vegetables in general. I think soup is one of the easiest things to make. Please let me know if there's something you think is easier to make than soup, all right? You can make a bunch of that, freeze it, and then, you know, if you are feeling like, okay, I'm a little tired this week, maybe pull one out of the freezer and thaw it so that you can have it the next day. I highly recommend having some soup somewhere in your house, frozen, accessible to you. Another thing, of course, is salad. I actually don't eat very many salad, but I eat a lot of vegetables. I love steamed vegetables. I'll often do like beets, sweet potato, carrots, and I'll kind of chop them up and just like put it in the oven at 425 for like 20 minutes, and it comes out really good. That being said, it's like diced, okay? So it's kind of small. But those are delicious because they're very versatile. You can use it as a side if you're just having it with protein. You can use it in your salads. So salads don't have to be boring. Can definitely be elevated with protein and healthy fats. So I'll usually add some kind of protein to it and do some chopped nuts. And I always find that that gives a really good balance to the vinaigrette. It just goes really well with something that's pretty acidic. Makes it a little more satiating as well. And then add some whole grains or roasted veggies, and it'll just kind of elevate it and make it feel a little less daunting to eat the salad. If you haven't had farro salad before, I highly recommend trying it. It's like an ancient grain. It is so tasty. Farro salads are amazing. To be healthy, we need to be fully well-rounded. Having good relationships around us is critical to having a good mental health. So try and find ways that you and your friends can meet up more regularly. I often find that committing to doing something active together is a great way that even my busiest friends, we can actually set time aside. It's like, okay, I need to exercise anyway. Let's meet up. Let's go to a class. Let's do some kind of exercise together. And then you're getting two birds with one stone. You're getting your movement in. You feel good for it. And you feel good because you've spent time with your friends or family being a little more active. Another nice thing is that you can kind of use this as your more indulgent time if you want. So if you're eating healthy at home, you've already made it the barrier for eating healthy super low. So now when you go out, you get to kind of enjoy the things that you might crave. If you want to have some fried food, if you want to have some dessert, like you can enjoy those more decadent things without feeling guilty. Like let it be a treat for you. It's like, this tastes really good and it costs a little bit more money than if I were to make it at home, but that's okay because it's a treat. You know, and it feels like a treat and it makes it worth it. It makes it less of a habitual thing that you require and more of a treat. So I hope this can help at least one of you in making your day-to-day a little more sustainable and reducing your stress levels at least a little bit. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.